Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, folks, today is an interesting one. This is a long-term review of an amazing camera that came out this past year, the Lumix S12 E, aka Jimmy, as we like to call him on this channel. Also, today's video is sponsored by HULKMAN. They make amazing power equipment to keep your filmmaking gear on and charging and working in remote situations. So we're going out into the frozen tundra. I've been waiting for it to snow so we can really test out the HULKMAN gear while we review the S12 E. And I guess for some context, I was actually invited to the Lumix launch event where the S12 E initially became publicized. But what's interesting is this was the same time that the S12 was announced. So it was basically the more filmmaking centric version of the S1R2 that got criticized for its rolling shutter and stuff like that. But what I feel like was overlooked even by Panasonic at their own event was the simultaneous launch of the S12E. Basically, they told us all about the S12 and then they said, wait, there's more. And then they quickly went over the S12E, and it just didn't really garner the same attention as the R2 and the S12. At that event, Lumix gave all of us an S12 to take around and play with, but I actually had to request an S12E because I was more excited about the value proposition of a hybrid mirrorless camera with the amazing build quality and features of the new Lumix S-line bodies, but with a lot of the same internals as the more expensive versions with a couple quirks here and there. So I want to go over this camera from a long-term review perspective. I've been using it ever since it came out. I shot some documentary stuff with this camera. I've made YouTube videos with this camera, short form content. It has been an absolute joy to use, and so we're going to talk about it today. But I got to get out to the tundra first. We are headed to a place called Anderson Falls, Indiana. It's so freaking scary having a camera back there. It's just one suction cup and a ball head. And just so you guys know, this is kind of a long form integration video of the HULKMAN product, so I'm going to talk about it a few times. And since we're just on the way to the next spot, I figured I'd start talking about HULKMAN right now, let you guys know what's going on. If you've never heard of HULKMAN, basically they make this portable power station called the HULKMAN Mega, and it's kind of wild because it's completely overbuilt in a good way. I have the 576 watt hour version with me today. It weighs like 19 pounds. It's what I'm using to power up my chargers, my drone batteries, and my camera today while we're out shooting. And batteries typically perform worse in the winter for cameras and stuff. The HULKMAN still performs amazingly, so I'll use that to charge up my Lumix. Also, when I'm back in the studio, I'm wiring this thing up to my mobile run and gun YouTube talking head setup that I have on a rolling stand, so I never have to have it plugged into the wall while I'm filming. I can quickly change backgrounds and it powers my light, my camera, my iPad, my audio recorder. Literally everything I need to make very high quality YouTube videos is being powered by the HULKMAN. It's 26 degrees Fahrenheit right now, but this HULKMAN works all the way down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit, which is this for my Celsius brothers and sisters in Christ. And if you're running sensitive things like we do with cameras, audio gear, lighting, where you can't afford for it to cut out, this has a UPS mode with a 15 millisecond transfer time, which means if your main power cuts out, the Mega instantly takes over and keeps your gear running, so you won't cut recordings or lose files or have gear shut down on you in the middle of recording, which you have to have no matter what kind of shoot you're on, whether it's cold or not. And for those curious about the ports, it has 3 AC ports plus 100 watt USB-C power delivery. And I can also charge this thing in the car with the 12 volt outlet and top it off while I'm driving to my next location. I know that's a pretty spec heavy mouthful, but really just having a battery like this for filmmaking and creative work in general is just useful in so many different scenarios, and this is reliable, so it's absolutely worth a click. Just go check it out in the description. It supports the channel greatly. I really appreciate you for watching this, and HULKMAN, thank you for the sponsor. All right, we're about 0.4 miles away from our location. It is kind of sketchy out right now, but we do it for the review. It's honestly just so cool to see Lumix doing such cool things. I'm really excited for where their brand is going. I started my video photo career with the Canon T5i 7D and then 70D. And then I wanted the 5D Mark III so bad, but it was just too expensive. That's when I moved to Lumix for their affordability, but amazing specs. And it's just so cool they've actually continued that trend. Obviously their cameras have gotten a little more expensive, but now they're making like really good full frame cameras, and they still are spec'd out. And we are here, Anderson Falls. ND is like frozen. ND's nuts, got him. Is this open gate or not? Now my gates should be fully, oh, my gates are just so wide open. Wow, okay. All right, we need to find a spot to film in this Red Dead Redemption 2 looking beauty. I feel like I'm in that intro scene, dude. So good, so freaking good. Except I have batteries instead of horse and gun. Okay, so both of my Lumix cameras, batteries are dying. So I'm gonna hook them up to the HULKMAN. This is the S1R2, by the way, S12E. This kind of gear is perfect for someone like me where I sometimes don't treat things as nicely as I probably should. Okay. But I get into creative mode and I don't wanna waste time. So I just turn on my windshield wipers and you know what happens. Cue AI noise reduction. Did it work? Wow, that way is so much more beautiful. For the next angle, I'm pointing that way because that is insane. So what the heck is the S12E? For those of you who don't know, here's a brief introduction. Basically, the outer body design is the exact same, perfectly identical to the newest S-line cameras, the S1R2 and the S12 that we've mentioned already. I've done multiple videos on all of these cameras, so if you're curious, there's reviews in the description as well. But the internals of the S12E are very similar to Lumix's extremely popular and reliable S52X, but there are some key differences. One thing that people didn't like about the S52X is that it had 4K 60 with a APS-C crop, so you're not getting full frame 4K 60. The S12E still has a crop in 4K 60, but this time instead of all the way into APS-C crop, it's the top and bottom being cropped down into something called cinescope. Basically think of Peter McKinnon 2017 vlogs, putting black bars on your footage. That's what you're working with. I would say that the S12E's crop is a lot more usable than the S52X because you still zoom in just a little bit to get to 16:9 and get most of your frame in slow motion. No, it's not full frame 4K 60. I get that most people want that. The new A7 IV has it, but this camera makes such incredible footage and it has 6K open gate. It also does 6K 60 in that cinescope mode. At the Lumix launch event, I straight up asked them, I was like, why can't you guys just give us full frame 4K 60? Essentially, it comes down to not a processing limitation, but an actual sensor limitation. This sensor actually goes all the way back to the Sony A7 III. It's such a good sensor, it's been used for this long, and there's just limitations that come with older tech, and that's one of them. Okay, another massive upgrade, while I get to my spot, is the fact that the S12E is capable of being upgraded via US dollars, or wherever your dollars come from, to have ARRILOG C3 in camera. Oh my gosh. I have been shooting in ARRILOG a lot lately because I just love how natural the colors are. I feel like it does a little bit better job with my particular skin tones than Vlog, but Vlog is still beautiful, and I don't think that ARRILOG is a necessity by any means. But with ARRILOG C3, and honestly the Vlog in these cameras too, their codecs are so robust that it does a really good job. I can make my skin look how I wish it looked in real life, which is just awesome that you can bend the colors that much. And another interesting topic of discussion with the newer Lumix cameras is the fact that in open gate, they shoot in 420 H.265 as the codec. I've been trying to communicate this in my Lumix videos, but after doing so much testing and color grading and pushing and pulling the colors and exposure around in these files, it operates just like 422. There's so much color information, it's so rich. I get absolutely amazing results. from these cameras, and I have no problem shooting in 420, delivering to clients or anything like that. See how I can make everything purple? It's my Barney fantasy. Also, the IBIS on Lumix cameras is just next level. One other difference. Shall we talk about autofocus? Wow. It's a little bit of product placement for the boys. You know how we do. Gotta pay the bills. So after using this camera long term, why don't we do some frozen pros and cons? Actually, it was kind of bars thoughts. First of all, pretty much everything about the body design of this camera is fantastic. It has tons of customizable buttons. The flip and tilt screen that Panasonic invented back with the S1H, that design is here and refined. It's amazing. You get dual card slots, your CF Express B and your SD. Mic and headphone jacks, you gotta have pro audio. A really nice EVF, full-size HDMI, USB-C with power delivery, and you can live stream directly to a device over the USB-C port. It's amazing. I use the USB-C on these cameras to transfer all of my files. I don't really use readers anymore because I just plug it into my computer. Transfers relatively quick. And the body itself is just very comfortable to hold. Lumix has always had those kind of chunky grips that just feel really nice in the field. You don't want to be slipping and sliding on set, my dog. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, guys? I think my brain's cold. And again, I just think it's amazing that Lumix gave this camera's internals the exact same outer shell and body of the higher end cameras that are a good amount more money. This gives you all the exact same physical experience. This camera and the new Lumix cameras fixed Lumix photography for me personally. I shot some photos with the S5 IIX for a couple projects, and I just always felt uninspired using the S5 II and the S5 IIX for photography. I don't even know what it is. I've tried to convey it before, but it wasn't bad, and I know plenty of people use it for photography and they enjoy it. That's great. You gotta use what you enjoy. I didn't enjoy those cameras for photos, and these I do. Maybe it's the new LUT functionality or just how high quality the bodies feel, or the EVF and screen combo. I don't know exactly what it is, but it just feels like a better quality experience to me for photography specifically. But I think filmmaking is where this camera absolutely shines. So I actually sent this camera to my buddy Austin for a little bit, who shoots pro wrestling, and he's a filmmaker for a living. He used this camera for an actual TV production of wrestling, and hopefully he'll let me include some of the footage that he shot because it looks phenomenal, and it actually played on TV and streaming platforms from this camera that I'm filming myself with outside in the woods right now. The fact that he felt comfortable using this for a television production is everything I could ever say to convince you that it's a filmmaking beast. And one last thing, it shoots Blackmagic RAW external over HDMI. Okay, what more do we need, okay? This is an actually relatively affordable, reliable camera, and it does almost everything very well for video. So what's kind of wild to me about this camera, compared to the other Lumixes, is that it's about $1,000 cheaper than the S1R2 and S1 II. Before I give you overall thoughts, let's just quickly compare it to some newer things that have come to the market. Like the Nikon ZR is also $2,200. That's a pretty interesting comparison. I haven't tested that camera myself yet. I'm getting one next week, finally. I don't get cameras sent to me from all these companies, so I gotta weasel my way into getting them myself. I'm thankful that Lumix has worked with me and allowed me to use their cameras, which has been super cool, but I think this camera's probably more well-rounded overall, but we'll see. You got the Canon R6 III, $2,800, and the Sony a7 IV, brand new, $2,900. So this camera's the same price as the ZR, but cheaper than everything else in its class. Overall, I think the marketing of the S1 IIe is its biggest flaw. It was overlooked at its own presentation, shadowed by the S1 II. Popular websites from reputable brands that I like are getting some of the specs wrong on their website, which I think could be contributing to some misinformation about this camera.
Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is B&H on their overview. It says that this camera does 6K 3x2 at 30p, which is correct, but it says it does 5.1K open gate at 60p. Which is not true. The S1 II does that. It also says it does 4K 120. It does not do that either. It does 4K 60 with a crop, as we talked about. And then even on the Lumix website, when I go to the S1 IIe and I click on full specifications here, There's nothing. Maybe I'm the only one that likes to dive into these weird documents, but I assume that a lot of you guys like to check this stuff out as well, so you know exactly what you're getting. Let's see what the AI overview tells us, because this tries to like give us a summary based on a lot of different resources. 6K 30 open gate, 4K 120. That is incorrect. Doesn't mention Blackmagic RAW anywhere, which is kind of interesting. I mean, one thing is like these cameras just do so much, it's hard to keep track of, but that's kind of the job of these places. I'm just trying to say all this stuff so you guys have a clear picture of what this guy actually does.
I'm not like trying to call out those brands or anything, but I just think it's a sign that this camera should have been released completely separately than the S1 II, because it really is its own beast. Yes, it has the same outer body, but the internals are, yes, similar, but also very different in some ways. And there's a totally different value proposition because it's $1,000 less. So many more people can get this camera, but they need to know what the heck it does. So to avoid any more confusion on the S1 IIe, here is just like a brief overview of what it actually does in hopefully a succinct and clear way. It can shoot 6K open gate footage up to 30 frames per second, 420 H.265. It can shoot slow motion video in 6K 60 frames per second cinescope, also 6K 48 cinescope, and it can do cinema 4K 60 frames per second in cinescope as well. So slow motion, cinescope, full resolution open gate, 6K up to 30. Those are the main video features you need to worry about. You get the same IBIS performance, same autofocus performance, same photography performance, other than the difference in megapixels. You get external Blackmagic RAW, 32-bit float audio with the compatible Lumix recorder. It's basically everything the $1,000 more cameras do, just a different sensor and a little bit lamer slow motion. But I want to remind you guys to go check out HULKMAN. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video and supporting my channel this year. Make sure to text me when you get home so I know you're safe, and watch out for deer. Follow me on Instagram for short and dumb stuff like this. And of course, remember that you guys are absolutely much more loved, beautiful, and worthy than you might even know, all right? All right, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.